psychologist, Dr. Mara Karpel of Dr. Mara Karpel and Your Golden Years. I hope you enjoy this informative interview and many more to come on my program. And we're back. And if you're just joining us, this is Dr. Mara Karpel and Your Golden Years. And joining me here in the studio is Seniors Real Estate Specialist Heather Kight to talk about this specialty of working with people over 55 and beyond. Right. So, Heather, why don't you fill our listeners in a little bit about your background?
Well, I'm actually from Austin, which you don't find very many people from Austin these days. But I'm from Austin, and I taught high school, for a long time, and went on to work for a big educational publisher. And from there, I went to work with Keller Williams Corporate University, and that's how I fell into real estate. Mm-hmm. So I've been an active realtor since 2007, so just about 10 years this fall. And there are a lot of realtors in town, yes, and so one way to differentiate yourself is to specialize in something. Mm-hmm. And I came across working with a few families that had people who'd lived in their homes for a very long time, and it was different than working with a younger seller or a younger buyer.
Right.
And so I really found a niche in working with seniors in the 55 plus age demographic. Mm-hmm. So I have taken specialty courses in order to obtain the designation and certification as a seniors real estate specialist. And although I do all types of real estate, that is just something that I really like to do, because I feel like it's providing a very good service to families.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, being 55, we don't usually think of seniors as 55.
Right.
So so let's start there. So what special needs would somebody over 55 in that end of the spectrum?
A lot of times the over 55 buyers or sellers are recent empty nesters, and they've raised a family in maybe a big suburban home or a big house that has 4 bedrooms and big yard. And as the children have left the nest, they're really ready not to have so much house to take care of anymore. And so in working with, a younger 55 plus seller or buyer, we look for neighborhoods that are close to their interests. We look for properties that are very maintenance free. For example, a lot of times it might be a freestanding condominium community. They're called block and leave communities, where you can go in, somebody's going to take care of your yard, your exterior insurance is paid for by your HOA dues, and it allows a lot more freedom. A lot of people have built up equity in the home that they've owned for a long time. And it's also a way to cut some costs by selling a house that might be in a school district with high property taxes, for example, buying a smaller home, maybe paying cash for that home from the equity that you've built up in that home that you've owned for a really long time. So those are some things to think about with that kind of empty nest demographic.
Okay. And you were mentioning to me that a lot of people are kind of moving into these condo communities.
Because they're full, but to be honest, they're full of other empty nesters.
Right.
And so it's a nice way to make some new friends. Sometimes the HOA will have activities. There's usually a small pool around so that it's a way to be outside, a lot of dog walkers. And so it's just something that people find attractive, and just maintaining a 100% independent lifestyle. You own your home. But has less of the maintenance and baggage and that comes along with that, owning that big family home.
Right. Okay. Do you find that you have a lot of single or divorced women who move into those places? Yes, and
they're really they feel safe, because whether they're gated or not, it is a very safe environment. You usually know your neighbors, and the homes are small. And so single people do like that lifestyle.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people also move to Austin in this age group because they want to be near their adult children who've moved to Austin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the adult child has moved here and is starting to raise their family. And we've helped people from Ohio and Pennsylvania and California and Washington State, and they're the number one reason they're moving here as you know, as an older person, is to be near their children and grandchildren. And so they're looking for, you know, a smaller home as well, and one that's as close to them as possible. It's kind of a funny conversation because, you know, the mom wants to be really close and the adult child is like, well, let's talk about what that means and not too close.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what about as people get older? What are some of the issues that
Right.
they deal with?
And that, yeah, that's with families that I've helped, there's families that have been in their home for 50 years. And yeah, that's a long time. And sometimes it's the original owner, sometimes they were the second owner of that home, and it's just gotten to the point where they're not able to take care of that home anymore, and it's time to make a move.
Right.
And there's a lot of options about where they can go. They can go to independent living, they can go to you know, a senior apartment complex, but the emotional part is figuring out how to help them leave that home with as little stress as possible. And so, you know, we've got a lot of people that can help do that. There's actually sitting down with the whole family to have a meeting where everybody gets on the same page is really helpful for me. And I can find out who the decision makers are. And in some families, it's going to be the homeowner. And in other families, it's going to be an adult child. And there might be several adult children involved, and I need to know who to talk to. Because they might not all agree on what the next best steps are. And so having that preliminary meeting to get everything out on the table and talk about who is the decision maker, what is the plan, and let's map out a calendar to help get mom or dad from the home into the next place.
So in some ways, you're like a mediator.
I have been known to do that, yes. Yeah, and there's families that get along great, and then there's families where people don't talk to each other, and everybody has their own opinion on what should happen next.
Right.
And so that's why having a preliminary meeting can be very helpful. Then the next step will be, you know, to identify where the senior is going to go, and let's just for case a scenario, say they're going to go to an independent living community, and they're going to go from maybe a 2,000 or 3,000 square foot home to a small apartment.
Right.
And so what we do is work with them to help them decide what are they going to take with them, and that's a good way to start whittling down all of this lifetime of the collection of
I'm
stuff.
sure if they've been in the house for over 50 years, it's a lot of stuff.
I mean, I've opened closets that have been packed up to here with Life magazines.
Wow.
You know, and so what do you do with them? You know, and what do you do with the prom dresses that are still in the closet?
Wow.
So instead of trying to talk about like what do we get rid of, we start to talk about what are you going to take with you to your new home. And we always make sure we talk about it as your new home, you know, because it's an apartment, it is a home. And we identify which pieces of furniture will be taken, you know, what's enough furniture, what's too much furniture, what are your very favorite pieces of artwork, and let's talk about where those will go. You know, are you if it's a 2-bedroom apartment, do you want to have a bedroom and a guest room, or do you want a bedroom and a study? And then identify what furniture goes into those places. And it really helps them start thinking forward and a little less thinking about what they're leaving behind.
Right.
And so we try to really work with the family in identifying all of the things that will go. There's moving companies that are that specialize in working with seniors because you know they want somebody to come in that's going to be understanding and patient and realize that there might be some changes that come up here or there.
Right.
So
whenever I move, I use one of those moving
right.
companies.
Yeah.
Because require patience.
And we talk about the best scenario, if it's financially possible for a family, is to work with the senior to move, get the new place all set up, say goodbye to the home, and then let us take care of setting up an estate sale and setting up any kind of maintenance issues that might need to be addressed, and then take it from there. So do you do all of that? I do the coordination of, give you a couple of options for estate sales specialists. If you wanted to hire a senior move manager, some families want to do that because it takes the pressure off usually the adult daughter. Right. So we have just a long list of people who specialize, in addition to me, in working with seniors and making such a big move. So you have a lot of resources. Right. And the other thing we have are like the maintenance people, the contractors. If we help work with a family to determine what, if anything, they want to do with the house in terms of getting it ready for sale. And that would definitely affect the pricing then. If you spend a little bit of money, you might make more money. If you don't want to spend any money up front or are unable to spend any money up front, then we need to price that house accordingly so that it's just sold as is. Right. And so, that's all part of looking at the overall strategy with the family from the beginning and finding out those things early so that surprises don't come up along the way. And of course, the course can change, but it's just good to try to. That's why that mapping out a calendar and a strategy up front can be very useful. Right. Okay. Yeah. So, do you also sometimes help to find, if they're not moving into an independent living or assisted living, to find accessible housing? Is that part of the process? A lot of it. A lot of times it's would involve condominiums, mainly because of the maintenance-free aspect. And we know how to weed out like 2 stories condos, for example. Focusing on the right kinds of floor plans, the right kind of floor plans that would allow aging in place. Right. For example, the parts of town that would be close to groceries. The mail, the post office, those type of things, so that it's much clustered together as possible in terms of just the daily routine. And so there's little pockets that we know of that kind of fit that bill. So there's a lot that goes into a lot more than I think a younger person thinks about when they buy a house. It's really different. It's really different because depending on the younger person, if they have kids, then it's all about school district. Right. If they don't have kids, it's all about being close to the cool coffee shops. But with a senior, it's really about what is going to make my life work in the easiest way possible. Right. And so that there are many people who move out of a long time home and have an interim home before even needing assisted living or independent living. Right. So. Right. And there are also some apartment complexes in the Austin area that are 55 plus. It's just an apartment complex, so there's no there's no meal services or maid services. It's just an apartment complex, but to live there, you have to be 55 years old. Right. And so that's an attractive option to a lot of single people, especially. Right. Right. Because they can find more people that are similar to them. And it's a lot less expensive than independent living. Oh, okay, right, because you don't have all the services. Right, a lot less expensive. Heather, if people are interested in contacting you and maybe getting some help with a move, especially for a senior move, how can they do that? My email is just heather@realtyaustin.com. I do want to mention that Realty Austin is the largest independent brokerage in Austin, and they only hire very experienced agents, and recently just won the Austin Business Journal's Best Place to Work. Okay. So the #1 place. So it's full of a lot of happy people. But it's just heather@realtyaustin.com. You can go to the Realty Austin website and just look me up under agents. Just Heather Kight, and it's Kight. A lot of people try to put an N in there. And then my phone number is 789-1871. And I answer the phone.
Okay, yes.
A lot of people don't.
You do. All right,
Yes.
so good to have you come and talk about this. I think it's a topic that people don't really even think about.
Right.
Used to
Until they're faced with it as a
Yes.
family. That's right.
And I'd love to have you come back and check in with us and
That'd be
tell us
great.
how the Austin market is doing.
I'd love to do that.
All right.
Okay.
All right. You have a good evening.
Okay. Thanks so much.
All right. So we'll be back after this break.